recently, you'll have noticed I've done less videos on my own and more with some guests, and there's a reason for that. I want to impart not just the knowledge that I've got in this noggin, but also the amazing people that I know in the recruitment world. And Rebecca Shannon is one of those people. She is, to me, an inspiration, a guiding light, somebody that just brings so much calm to me, and I know the people around her, and I just love hearing her speak about all the things that she's knowledgeable about. But in particular, recently we've spoke a lot about kind of time management, being a time warrior. I know that a lot of the people that watch this channel, whether you're new to recruitment or not, time management and how we look at time, view time, feel about time, myself included, is a big thing. So I thought, let's just jump, me and her, on Zoom. Let's have a chat. Let's just talk about some of the things that you can do, or Rebecca talks about some of the things that you can do to be a time warrior. It's a very candid chat, just me and her jumping on Zoom together. Apologies in advance for the back to basics editing. I usually have an editor do my videos. At the moment, I'm just doing some on my own myself. So they're not as slick, they're not as fancy, but this is a raw video with Rebecca anyway. Let me know what you think. All the tips are amazing. And if you want to reach out to Rebecca, I've put all her details in the bottom if you want like another chat with her or you want to connect with her as well. But enjoy the video and I will catch up with you soon. So you spoke about this as well, didn't you, at the team conference? So for anyone watching that was at team, they'll know, won't they, what kind of time warrior is. Yeah. But I missed your talk at team because, was I speaking?
I think so.
At the same time, or just after you, wasn't I?
Yeah, there were clashes. I think because I missed you and I missed Joe.
Yeah, or you came in for halfway. That was it. You were just before me. You came in for just caught a little bit of mine, didn't you? Some people watching this, if you're in the United States, will be like, "What the fuck is team conference?" It's a recruitment networking event in the UK, basically. So I'm looking forward to this because I missed your talk. So for everyone watching, you're going to learn something, but it's a school day for me as well. Just explain to me, and I suppose everyone watching, like, why Time Warrior?
Okay, so Time Warrior name actually comes from a book, which I have here conveniently, called Time Warrior by Steve Chandler. So Steve Chandler is an incredible coach. He's known as the godfather of coaching. He's not particularly a recruitment coach. He coaches, just generally. But when I read the book, and I've read a lot of his stuff, I listened to a lot of his audios, I loved the tag of warrior because it gives that idea of power, decisiveness, decisions, and really the what's the word? The violence of the word warrior is almost quite good when we come to time, because we can be quite passive about time. If you hear people talking about it, it's like, I don't have enough time. There's not enough time in the day. I never have enough time to get done the things I want to get done. And so what Steve really invites us into is we need to see it differently. It's like we need to have this intention that we can carve out time, that we get to create what we do with our time. Yes, there's a finite amount of time in a day. However, if we just let time happen to us, we are going to feel like there's never enough of it. Whereas if we intentionally create time for what's important to us, then we have a different relationship with it. So we're really like cutting through time like a warrior would to decide what we're going to do with it. So that's what really spoke to me about the term time warrior. Really powerful.
Yeah, kind of makes you want to take action against.
Absolutely.
And ultimately we created time anyway, didn't we? Time didn't exist, we made time.
Yes, exactly. And in recruitment, I think this is really true as well, because we create deadlines as well, don't we? We create end of the day, end of the week, end of the month, end of the quarter, end of the year. But actually the reality is any action we decide to take, that's just a marker that we've put in. And what I see in recruitment a lot, and why I think Time Warrior is really important in the recruitment industry, is we work to those deadlines. So we'll work, we'll be really decisive about our time up until the point that the month end, and then we kind of collapse into, well, that's done. So we create this kind of roller coaster idea, right? Whereas what Steve's inviting us into as well is, rather than having that linear idea of time, we have a non-linear idea of time. So we create space for all the things that we want to do, regardless of our mood, so how we feel about doing it. So, for example, if we know that business development is really important to building our business, which it kind of is, it says it in the name, right, is we carve out time for that regardless of how we feel about it. So we take out that kind of mood-based thinking around it, and we just know that if we make a certain number of calls to people who potentially might use us, either candidates or clients, that is going to help us create relationships and create business. So we do it whatever. And then we don't put in this idea that, oh, well, I've done everything I need to do for this month. And then we stop.
Yeah.
So one of the phrases that he uses is stop stopping, right? You know, if something's working or we need to do more of something, don't stop doing it, right? If it's working, then put in more time for it. So we take out this idea of linear time with all these deadlines in, and we really think about, how am I going to carve out my time to do the key activities that I know are going to move my business forward? And then we just do them, regardless of whether, you know, how we feel that morning. If it's Monday morning, we don't feel great, we do it anyway. Because once you start doing it, right, you create momentum, then you actually get better at it and you do more of it. It's the getting started that's the important bit. So whatever your mood is, right, get into action, do something, and then you create momentum.
So what are 3 key principles of a time warrior then?
Okay, so 3 key principles. I mean, there's a lot in there, right? But I think the 3 ones that I really like are be laser focused. Okay, we've been told, we've been told, we've picked up really bad habits about multitasking. Okay, we're trying to do everything at once, right? The reality is that we can't, right? The best way that we can get stuff done is to focus on one thing at one time. So, and this again is this warrior idea, is carve out time, get really specific about what you're going to do in that time, and then just do that for that period of time. So you get really, really focused. If you're totally present with the calls that you're doing, let's go back to business development. So you've put together a list of people you want to call, and you're going to talk to them about what you can bring to them, how you can help them solve their problems, ask them lots of questions, find out what challenges they've got. Just do that. Don't also be trying to reply to messages from candidates on your phone, or speaking to your colleague, or sending emails at the same time, because you're not going to be really present. And this is what we do a lot. So we lose time because we're trying to do everything at once. So be really laser focused. So that's the first one. The second one is always be in service. And what I mean by that is we do a lot of people pleasing, and we do a lot of just filling time with activities that don't really serve us, our clients, or our candidates, or our business.
They're time wasting, aren't they, most of the time?
Exactly, right? So get really clear on, when am I in service and when am I just filling time and being busy doing stuff? So what I mean by that is, if you're looking at your day and you want to, you've got clients that you need to speak to about processes that are going on, you've got candidates that you want to speak to, is you prioritize those, because they are in service to your client, to your candidate, to you, and to the business. So that is what you will do. You won't do the answer all the emails from all your colleagues about, have you done this, have you done that, where's this, where's that, what happened at the weekend. It's like, we're not getting involved in that. So for this one, the in service, there's a great story that Steve shares in the book, and it's the New York state of mind. So it's basically that when we're in service to going to New York on holiday, nothing's getting in the way of us getting to the airport and getting on that plane. Right? He uses this as an example. So, for example, if I'm leaving to go to New York straight after we've recorded this, which I really wish I was, if I go out the front door and my neighbour decides to have a chat with me, I'm going to be like, I'm really sorry, I'm going to the airport, I'm going to New York this weekend.
See you later.
See you later, right? Whereas how many times am I in my day, and let's say I've carved out like an hour to go out for a walk because I want to have a break in my day, but I walk out the front door, my neighbour starts talking to me, and because I don't have an airport flight to New York to get to, I collapse into people pleasing, and I have this conversation with my
I do this all the time.
Yeah, we all do, right? And it's not about being rude to anybody, because if I said to my neighbour, I'm really sorry, I've got to get to the airport, they'd be like, oh, of course, sorry, yeah, that's fine, because they see how important it is. But we don't feel able to say, look, I've carved out an hour to go for a walk because I find that I'm much more productive when I have a break at lunchtime. So I'm going to go. Can I come and see you about that later? Because they want to talk to me about the bins not being picked up or whatever, right? One, it's not that important to me. And 2, I've carved out this time for something that is important to me. So be in
Yeah.
service to yourself first and then others, and don't get caught up in people pleasing. And then the third principle is be a creator. Now, we've talked lots, Kate, that I have this idea of we get to create our world, right? But most of us live in kind of a reported world. So the world just happens to us, right? So it's like having a news feed on all the time, right?
You just react to things.
We react to things, yeah. Oh, I couldn't get this done because this happened. I couldn't get this done because that happened. Oh, I couldn't do this because, right? It's like we get to create, and we create all the time. We're doing it all the time. So if you create chaos, right? If you have chaos around you, you've created it, right? Because of how you're reacting to it. So what a time warrior will do is they will create calm, disciplined time. I don't really like the word management, but they will manage their time in a way that means they don't collapse into chaos. So rather than reacting, as you said, we learn to respond and we decide what we're going to create with it. So it's making that decision. So if the day looks chaotic, the first thing we need to do as a time warrior is just slow down and look at it and go, right, how do I create in the chaos? Which might mean I need to, we were talking today about how priorities sometimes change, right, before we came on. So rather than reacting chaotically to this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow down. I'm going to look at what I did have planned for today. I'm going to look at what's come in that might have thrown me off course, but I'm not going to react in a chaotic way. I'm going to very deliberately go, okay, there's some things here that are not now a priority for today, so I can move those and I'm going to deal with the priority. What that also means, though, is in that slowing down, we actually get to really think about, is this my chaos? Right? We talk about, are these my monkeys? Is this my circus sometimes, right? Or is this somebody else who's got a chaotic relationship with time, who's now throwing that into my world?
Yeah.
So slowing down when we're very deliberate about how am I going to respond to this, we actually get to go, is this my priority? Is this my chaos? Or actually, can I just go, you know what? I have a plan for today and that's what I'm going to focus on. So it's really prioritizing what's important to us.
Yeah. And I think when you said about the people pleasing thing, like I do it all the time. So I'll like carve out like an hour. No, it's not an hour. It'll be like 2 hours to go to the gym. And you feel awful because somebody will come over and speak to you that you know and is a friend. And I can feel myself like thinking, yeah, I've literally got like limited time here, but then not knowing what to say. But as you said, if you had a flight to go to, you would say like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I've got a flight to go to. I'll catch up with you later. But because it's nothing like that, you feel you can't say it. And then it creates, you're not enjoying that time then because you're kind of clock watching like, oh God, I've got like last time now to do my session and get back. So I think it's understanding it's okay, isn't it, to say to people, look, I'm really sorry. I've got to get this done to get, I'm going back to work but I will message you later and we can catch up then.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it takes that pressure off then. And people understand.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that I love about like the Time Warrior, Steve also does a book called Wealth Warrior. He's chosen that title quite deliberately to look at two areas where a lot of us need to be less agreeable, if you like, which is around money and around time. And actually most of us, if we could really get our relationship with money sorted and our relationship with time sorted, what happens is the rest of our life shifts as well, right? So where we learn to be a time warrior, where we have that New York state of mind, actually think about where else that would show up. So if you can actually very clearly say to someone, I'm actually here to train. I've really intentionally carved out this time, so that's what I'm going to do. I've got some space this evening if you want to have a conversation. That would be great. Fantastic. If we can be that clear, that warrior-like with our time, it will show up when we're talking to our clients. We'll be much better at talking to them about what it is that we actually want and need from them, rather than often what we do, which is kind of people pleasing to make sure they really like us, but we're not actually getting what we need from them. So for example, Mr. Client, you committed to looking at these CVs before Friday. It's now Friday, you haven't looked at them. That's going to have an impact on the process that we're running here.
Yeah.
Now, wouldn't that be powerful? We think that's going to make us disagreeable to the client, but coming back to being in service, right? You're not being in service to your client if you let him just keep putting the CVs off and off and off, because he's not going to fill his role. He's not going to find the candidates. You're not going to get your placement and your fees. So being a time warrior actually increases our power elsewhere. And then we can start going, if I can talk about the New York state of mind in terms of carving out my time, where else can I show up like that?
Yeah.
So it has this ripple effect, which you and I, we talk about again a lot. It ripples out into other areas of our lives, but time is a really good place to start. And having that distinction, I love it, that New York state of mind. It's just a very quick way that you can just go, if I was going to the airport, would I be stopping to talk to this person? Would I be stopping to do this thing? Would I let myself get distracted and miss out on the holiday of a lifetime? Probably not. But what if your next call was the call that was going to create, a lifetime agreement with a client?
Right.
Right.
I'm going to change that to the Ibiza. I'm going to change that to the Ibiza state of mind for me.
Love it. Personalize it, create it. That's another way of creating.
Yeah.
Create for you, right? If your thing jam is Ibiza, if someone else's is St. Lucia or getting to the football match or whatever it might be, create it so it's something that you resonate with. That again is about being a warrior. You get to choose.
Yeah.
So choose whatever's helpful for you. But I find that a really powerful distinction to have in your mind. And you can even share it with people. Yeah, sorry, I work on an Ibiza state of mind. When I choose to do something, I have the same commitment and intention as if I was about to go on holiday to Ibiza. So you'll understand if I don't have time for this right now. Right? How powerful is that when you say it to someone and they'll be like, wow, how do you do that? And you'll go, I tell you what, when we talk later.
I'll tell you later.
I'll tell you about it. Yeah, exactly. Right. It makes a huge difference. And most of us are people pleasers. Right? The most successful people and the leaders that we admire in the world have, I would hazard a guess, 99% of the time, worked through their relationship with time and their relationship with being a people pleaser. They have made a decision at some point in their life to drop pleasing people to powerfully serving people, which begins with themselves. And one of those things is how disciplined and warrior-like they are with their time.
So how can people change their relationship with time and get results from that? Because I know we've already kind of touched on this. Some people don't have a great relationship with time, do they?
No. So the first thing is make a decision, right? Make a mark in the sand and decide that from this point on, you are going to have a different relationship with time, right? It's not trying, okay? So the word trying, I talk about words a lot. Trying is not really, it's not anything, right? It's not saying anything. So the first thing to do is go, I am going to have a different relationship with time moving forward. So that's the first thing. I am going to be a time warrior. So with people that I'm working with on this, that's the first thing we do. We just decide to be a time warrior. When I did the talk at the team conference, that's the first thing I started with. I was like, right, okay, this is where we start. I want you all to say, I am a time warrior. You step into that declaration and then you become the time warrior. But it begins with saying it. Because the trouble is, every time we say, I'm not good with time, I am always late, I never get everything done, we are creating that as a reality. So this comes back to this creating. So my advice to people would be, if you want to change your relationship with time, change it. Decide today, now, in this moment, I am a time warrior, right?
And actually, if you're watching this, comment on the video, put it in writing, commit to it.
Yeah, declarations are great, either said, right, spoken, or written down. So one of the things that I do with people when I'm working on this with them is they begin each day in their journal or their day plan or whatever, diary, whatever people use, is they write, I am a time warrior. And then they move from there. Because in my world, who we're being is the first place. Then we move to what we do, and then we get the results, right? So most of us have perfect systems for the results that we're getting. So what I mean by that is if you're not getting the results you want, if you actually look at the system you've got, which mostly is time related, you are getting the results with the system that you've got. Okay. So if you're chaotic with time, you don't plan your time, you get distracted, you people please, you're not laser focused, you're trying to multitask. That's why you're getting the results that you get. So here's something really cool. If you decide to be a time warrior and then you look at all your systems and you change them, guess what's going to happen to your results? They're going to improve straight away. Now I've been working with recruitment for 30 odd years. I don't coach exclusively in recruitment anymore, but I still work with a lot of recruiters, and we talk about this a lot. And I know Greg Savage, who many of you will know, talks about this, is recruitment is a science and an art. Okay. The science behind it is that it's very activity driven, right? That's what underpins it. Now, the art comes in with how good we are at relationship building, how good we are at the magic of connecting people, but there is a science that underpins it. And that is our system for creating the results that we want. So if we sort out our relationship with time, if we become a time warrior, we get really laser focused, we plan our time, we get our New York or Ibiza state of mind in place and change those systems, the results will go up straight away. Right? So become a time warrior. You want to change your relationship and change your results, become a time warrior. I am a time warrior. Get laser focused, really plan your day, get out of people pleasing, get out of procrastination, which procrastination isn't really the problem. It's prioritization that's the problem, right? So just get really clear on what it is that you need to do and what's important to you, and then be warrior-like about it and watch your results change. I guarantee they will. I guarantee they will. And then you bring in the art, which is you get better at building relationships and you get better at your client relationships and all of those sorts of things, right? But it begins with that system that underpins it, that science system. And that's really easy to shift, right? So anyone who's watching this, if you're like, how do I do this? I would, as I say, mark in the sand, I'm going to be a time warrior from now on. And then the second thing is get better systems in place. Right? If you're at work or you're working from home, whatever you're doing, look at your systems for the day, get really, really decisive about how you're going to spend your time and what you're going to spend it on, and then stick to it. Get out of people pleasing, prioritize, and watch your results shift.
Yeah.
That
really
easy.
Well, yeah. And that's what we do, and that's what we're so focused on is result. We do this. There's lots of reasons why we do this job, right? In recruitment, loads of reasons, but don't think anyone can deny that part of the motivation, the reason, and I was one of those people when I was a consultant, was the results, aka the money.
Yeah.
So this is all gonna have a positive domino effect on your billings ultimately. So think of it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, and bring these two things together. As I said, Steve's got a book, Time Warrior and Wealth Warrior, right? Bring the two together, right? Because if you change your relationship with money and time at the same time, like you say, that's the motivator. And here's the great thing about it is if you do this, you still are in service. And this is the bit I think we often forget in recruitment, right? Because we see it as, they're only interested in the money. The truth of it is, if you are motivated by finding the right people for the right companies, which creates the placement fee, which gives you your money, guess what? You're also serving the client, you're also serving the candidate, you're serving yourself. And if you work in an organization, you're serving your company or the organization. If it's your own business, you're serving yourself. It is a win-win-win-win-win, right? So shift your mindset around both wealth and time. Your systems will shift, the way you focus on what you want to do shifts, and you get better and better results. Everyone wins. And I think sometimes we forget that. The other thing that I would say about being a time warrior or a wealth warrior or a warrior in any other place in your world is get really accurate and really honest. So don't try and hide from yourself or anybody else, and mostly yourself, if your systems aren't great, right? Stop trying to justify them. Stop trying to defend them, right? If your systems are chaotic, if they're not laser focused, if they're not any of those things, then just get accurate.
Yeah.
And then be honest about it and change them, because I see so many people spending so much time and energy defending the very system that is having them create the results they don't want. Right? So get rid of all of that and just get really accurate, get really honest, and then create better systems, get better results.
That's everything for becoming a time warrior, or how to become a time warrior. My bloody washing machine is so loud in the background. Thank you so much for watching. As I said at the start, if you want to connect with Rebecca, all the details are below. Remember to like, subscribe, share this video, comment on it, but like and subscribe to the channel so you get notified about all my upcoming videos. I have been a bit slow on getting stuff loaded recently, but I will up my game and up the content for you all, I promise. Have an amazing day, whatever you're doing, and I will see you all very soon.